All you need to repair cracks in one neat kit. Introducing Simpson Strong Tie Anchor System's Crack-Pac Concrete Repair System. Cracks in concrete are a common occurrence. Many products claim to fix cracks, when in reality, all they do is fill them without adding any strength. The ideal method to achieve a high-strength repair that also seals the crack from moisture is epoxy injection. Don't just fill it, fix it. Crack-Pac is an ideal repair solution for cracks in solid concrete, such as basement walls, foundations, slabs, or swimming pools. Crack-Pac installs with a standard caulking tool, allowing you to repair cracks without expensive equipment or replacement of the concrete element. Crack-Pac provides a high-strength repair, seals the crack against moisture, and keeps the rebar inside from corroding, is easy to use, requires no costly tools, creates no mess, and is suitable for cracks 1/64 to 1/4 inch. The resin is contained in the cartridge, the hardener in the nozzle. Once combined, the epoxy is mixed in the cartridge by shaking, then injected into the crack. When Crack-Pac is injected, it has the viscosity of a light oil, allowing it to easily flow into the small areas and voids of the crack. It chemically bonds with the concrete inside to seal the crack and provide a high-strength repair. Full hardening, called curing, takes about 24 hours, depending on the temperature of the air and concrete. After the Crack-Pac epoxy is cured, it can be sanded and painted if desired. Simpson Crack-Pac comes in two convenient packages: the single cartridge Crack-Pac Gravity Feed for cracks in horizontal surfaces, and the all-inclusive Crack-Pac kit for vertical and overhead cracks. Crack-Pac should be applied in dry conditions and when the air temperature is between 45 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature of the concrete being repaired should also be in this same range. As with any chemical, be cautious when using these materials. Do not splash them on exposed skin. If this happens, simply wash them off with soap and water. Use safety glasses and gloves when working with Crack-Pac. Latex gloves are included in the kit. First, determine if the crack to be repaired is in a solid concrete element. If the crack is in concrete block, masonry, or porous material, the use of Crack-Pac is not recommended. Inspect the concrete both from the surface and, if possible, from the back of the element to determine if the crack runs all the way through. If the crack penetrates all the way through and cannot be sealed with epoxy, you may end up using more Crack-Pac epoxy than originally estimated, because some of it may run out of the back of the crack. In some cases where epoxy continually runs out the back of the crack, Crack-Pac may not be suitable. Clean the crack and the surface surrounding it to allow the epoxy to bond to sound concrete. The surface to receive paste over should be brushed with a wire brush. Oil, grease, paint, or other surface contaminants must be removed. Best results will be obtained if the crack is dry at the time of injection. If water is continually seeping from the crack, the flow must be stopped before the epoxy injection repair. Several methods are suitable for removing dust, debris, or standing water out of the crack: oil-free compressed air, canned air, a shop vac, or pressure washing with water. If using water, allow the crack to dry before injection. Crack-Pac epoxy is simply mixed right in the cartridge by a shaking motion. No worries about mixing ratios or extra tools. Working time for the mixed Crack-Pac is 30 minutes at a temperature of 70 degrees. As the temperature gets above 70 degrees, working time will dramatically decrease to just a few minutes. Mix right before dispensing. To mix the two components, first put on gloves and safety glasses. Each Crack-Pac nozzle has a black rotary valve on the bottom. This valve has 3 positions, as marked with the numbers 1, 2, and 3. When taken out of the package, it is in the closed position. Remove the red cap and insert the nozzle into the top of the cartridge, threading it on tightly. Hold the assembly upright. Open the rotary valve to position 1. Snap the top tip off the nozzle, allowing air to enter and full drainage of the yellow material. Close the open tip on the top using the black rubber cap included. Turn the rotary valve to position 2, closing the cartridge. Shake the cartridge vigorously for 2 minutes. Now the Crack-Pac epoxy is ready to be dispensed. If the mixed Crack-Pac sits in the cartridge for more than 10 minutes, it will become very hot. Mix the product immediately before dispensing. Crack-Pac can be dispensed by 2 methods: gravity feed for horizontal applications and pressure injection for vertical, overhead, or horizontal applications where full penetration is required. For either application, turn the nozzle valve to position 3, which will allow the mixed Crack-Pac epoxy to flow out of the cartridge. Place the cartridge assembly in a standard caulking tool, depressing the trigger lightly to engage the cartridge. A gravity feed application involves dispensing the Crack-Pac directly into a horizontal crack, using gravity to allow it to flow into the voids of the crack. As you slowly proceed along the crack, go back to previously filled areas to verify the crack is completely full of Crack-Pac. When finished, turn the rotary valve back to position 2, closing it. For vertical and overhead cracks, it is necessary to use the pressure injection kit. These types of cracks must be sealed to allow full penetration of the Crack-Pac epoxy into the voids of the cracked concrete. This sealing process is called paste over. When pressure injecting a crack, it is necessary to paste over the crack on the working surface, and, if necessary, to also paste over the crack on the other side of the concrete element, preventing Crack-Pac from flowing out the other side. Paste over epoxy, ETR 16, is included in the Crack-Pac kit. It sets up fast, in about 20 minutes depending on the temperature. Paste over epoxy consists of 2 plastic jars. One is the epoxy resin, and the other is the hardener. To make the paste over epoxy, an equal amount of the resin and hardener needs to be mixed by hand on a mixing surface using the wood paste over tools in the kit. The paste over is then applied to attach injection ports and seal the crack. An injection port is used to direct the Crack-Pac into the pasted over crack. Simpson injection ports should be opened for injection and closed afterwards, minimizing mess and waste. When the port is open, it is set to the in position. When it is closed, it is in the out position. To achieve a positive attachment between the cartridge assembly and the injection ports, use the Easy Click fitting. Press the fitting over the port until you hear it click. This will prevent leakage of the material during injection. To remove the fitting, depress the metal tab on the side and pull it off the port. Apply the paste over to the outer circular edge of the bottom of the port, being careful not to clog the opening in the middle as the paste over is applied. Attach ports every 8 inches along the crack length. Verify that the ports are set to the open in position. Paste over the remaining open areas of the crack using the wooden paste over tools, applying about an 1/8 inch thick by 1 inch wide layer of paste over epoxy. In addition to pasting the open areas, mound epoxy around the base of each port. Make sure to work out any holes or voids in the material. A poor paste over job will result in leaks during injection. Once the paste over material is cured, it is now time to inject the Crack-Pac epoxy. Make sure to apply ports and paste over before mixing Crack-Pac. Firmly attach the open tube end of the Easy Click fitting to the end of the mixed cartridge assembly. For vertical applications, inject from the lowest port to the highest. Again, verify all ports are set to the open in position. Attach the Easy Click fitting onto the port. Depress the trigger of the caulking tool. and epoxy will begin to flow into the crack. Inject epoxy into the first port until it will no longer flow into the crack. If epoxy shows at the next port above and the first port still accepts material, close the second port and continue to inject into the first port until it accepts no more epoxy. Continue closing ports where epoxy appears until the first port refuses epoxy. When the first port reaches the point of refusal, brace the base of the port and pull out gently on the head of the port to close it. Pulling too hard may dislodge the port from the surface of the concrete, causing a leak. Depress the metal tab on the head of the Easy-Click fitting and remove it from the port. Go to the last port where epoxy appeared while injecting the first port. Open it and continue injection at this port. If the epoxy has set up and the port is bonded closed, move to the next clean port and repeat the process until every portion of the crack has refused epoxy. While this method may appear to leave some ports uninjected, it provides maximum pressure to force the epoxy into the smaller areas of the crack. When finished, close the rotary valve by turning back to position 2. Remove the cartridge from the caulking tool. Remove uncured epoxy with a wet rag. Final color after 7 days will be amber. After the Crack-Pac epoxy is cured, approximately 24 hours, break off the injection ports and discard. An electric grinder can be used to remove the paste over epoxy. You now have a watertight, high-strength repair. The surface above the repaired crack can be painted or sealed using products suitable for concrete. Simpson's Strong Tie Anchor Systems Crack-Pac makes concrete crack repair easy and economical. Don't just fill it, fix it.